On the Tape is presented by CME Group, where risk meets opportunity, and iConnections, reimagining how the investment industry connects.
We are at the FactSet Focus event in Miami. It's been an amazing couple days, but we're honored to have Phil Snow, the CEO of FactSet, joining us. Phil, thanks for being here.
I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for coming. We definitely appreciate the partnership.
You should be extraordinarily proud of yourself and your team, because this is a great conference. Now, I've been in the business a long time. We've gone to dozens, if not more, conferences, and the buzz around this conference is absolutely palpable. It's the biggest one, I think, in the history of the firm. You can speak to that.
Yeah.
But what are some of the highlights, and what are you taking away over the last 2 days or so?
Well, it's been at least 5 years since we've done one, for obvious reasons, and we're just so excited about all the product we've been working on over the last 5 years, whether it's technology, data, but the energy is palpable. I don't remember having this much buzz at one of these conferences. And we always get very high marks for the programming. It's not a boondoggle for people.
No.
The clients are really learning from each other. We're learning from them. So could be more exciting.
Speak about the clients, because, you know, it's a partnership with your clients.
Yep.
You know, it's not, there's a relationship there, and
Yep.
there's a deep relationship there with your clients.
Yes.
So speak to the importance of seeing them here, hearing their feedback, learning from what they have to say, and then the things you subsequently have implemented and will implement.
Yeah, one of our values is being client-centric. A lot of us have been at the company a long time. We've supported the product, we've sold it, we've built it. We love our product. We have so much pride in that. But more than anything, we want to, help our clients, essentially. That's where we're that type of a culture. So the client base here, it represents about half of FactSet's company. It's the institutional buy side, asset owners, very portfolio analytics heavy. What I'm most excited about this time is we haven't just advanced our middle office capabilities for the buy side, but we're pushing into the front office, and we see a huge opportunity there for the company. So it's a nice balance of front and middle office.
In terms of your company, when you get people here together,
Yep.
and it's a great, when you're part of a culture, it's great to sort of connect with people again and physically be there.
Yeah.
Speak to the excitement about your company and the folks that are here from FactSet.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we love our product. We've been opening up the platform. We're just, really excited to show clients what we have. We have a masterclass session here, which has had as much, if not more, attendance than some of the sessions. So people just sort of understanding and learning, what it is we're doing. And it's great to see some old friends. There are people that have come here, 10 times essentially, and been with the FactSet product for at least 20 years. So bumping into them in the elevator after such a long period of time is such a good feeling.
It's interesting, Phil, a lot of folks, a lot of CEOs, they speak to kind of customer service. They speak to this kind of client connection. And I was listening to a panel with you yesterday with your chief product officer, Christy, and your CMO, Jennifer. And it was interesting that you and Christy 2 decades ago, sat on a customer service desk at this company. Speak to that, because as Guy and I, and we've gotten to meet a lot of your leadership team over the last few years or so, but these are people who've been here for decades, like yourself. Speak to that a little bit, because it's not too common that you see that.
Right, I think that just speaks to, well, first of all, the company's been very successful, so we've all been able to stick around. But I think learning, sitting on the help desk, being technical, having a love of finance, really wanting to help clients. Those are the ingredients that make a good FactSetter. And there's nothing like sort of learning the product to have credibility with the clients. When we sit down with clients, we're really very solutions oriented. We're not just selling and sort of having a short-term view. We have a very long-term view of the relationship with our clients.
The theme of this conference is re-evolution, reinvention, efficiencies, all those different words that you hear. Sometimes they're just words. You're putting them to work. So speak to the importance of that and how you're sort of capturing all that and implementing those things.
Yeah, there is cost pressure in our industry. I mean, you guys talk about it every day, but the shift from passive to active management has put a lot of cost pressure on the active managers as fees have come down. So we're here to help with that. So, we have two goals. One is to help our clients be as efficient as possible, and then also help them generate ideas. So in the last 5 years in particular, we've implemented a lot of enterprise solutions that are linked together with things that we've built, but also with partners in the ecosystem as we become an open platform. And everyone's thinking about their operating model Most firms that are large are going multi-asset class, so the complexity of dealing with equity, fixed income, alternatives, that's going up. And as an active manager, you've got to deal with all of these things. So.
What's interesting about FactSet to me, and please push back or agree, it stood the test of time, but it's not reinvented itself, but it's grown as the times have changed, right? And you've grown along with your customer base. Now you have an opportunity, and I hate the term, but to hockey stick the growth. However, speak to that, how you've stood the test of time, where people have come and gone, you're still here.
Yeah, so we've grown as a company primarily organically. We've done, well over 20 acquisitions, but they've been mostly tuck-in acquisitions. But the foundational elements of the company haven't changed. The most valuable asset we have is the data on the system. And over time, we've just integrated more and more data. So we started off just integrating third-party content, writing good software, having good service. Then my predecessor, Phil Hadley, I think, realized at the time, as these assets became consolidated in the industry, we had to stand up our own content collection. So we've gone through that. And through this whole journey, we've been integrating client data. A lot of the clients here use our portfolio analytics, so they trust us with their holdings. They've done that since the 90s. So it's the library of data that we have on the system and how well connected and integrated it is with an entity data map. That is such a valuable asset, particularly now with generative AI. So that's one of the key components. We do write good software. We're solutions-oriented. That's the whole thing of sitting down with the clients. But you spoke about it this morning. Culture is important. And I'm actually surprised when I talk to investors, they never really ask much about the people.
Well, let's talk about the culture of the firm, because there are a lot of firms that talk about culture. They don't really stand by it, and they don't practice what they preach. But again, having met so many people over the last couple of days, you can tell if it's real or if it's sort of fugazi, to use a word. And it's absolutely real here in terms of the culture, because in talking to people, they feel a kinship. They feel an importance here. They feel that their voice is being heard. Listen, you've created that. You'll say to me, well, it's in place for a long time. I get it. It's under your leadership that culture has really grown. Speak to the importance of that.
It's so important, yeah. So everyone wants to feel like, they're bringing value to the firm. So we really encourage all of our employees to use the product, no matter what department they're in, and bring their ideas forth. And I believe we're a flat organization. I spend a lot of time with the talent, obviously a lot of time with clients, but I try to get out there, listen to people at all levels, and make sure that I'm understanding what the needs of the different generations that are joining the company are. We have a great model in that we hire a lot of kids out of school, whether they're engineers or they're client-facing. Typically, the client-facing people we're hiring, have an interest in finance and technology. So it's that combination of, having some social skills as well as, being interested in technology and finance. That's the magic formula.
Talk to us a little bit. I saw you at an industry conference. I want to say it was in late 2021.
That was in Arizona.
Yeah, it was in Arizona. And it was really interesting because there was a lot of conversation. We were still kind of, I think a lot of folks in the markets, we were just still in this, had COVID brain a little bit about just obviously what we had all just been through collectively. And, Guy and myself, throughout that whole period, we were just focusing a lot of companies that saw greater adoption of their products or services because of just some of the unique circumstances of that. I have to assume, and I remember you talking about it at the time, you guys learned a lot about your customers during that period. A lot of them were very used to using your products and services in one specific way. But some of the investments that you guys had been building towards in the cloud, making it a more open system, working with other sort of things. Talk to us a little bit about how that, because we're going to talk about generative AI, but it seems like a lot of those investments early on, a lot of what you learned during COVID, how your customers are going to use your products going forward, has really accelerated some of the development and innovation at the company.
Yeah, I mean, all of these firms are going through their own version of digital transformation as they try to become more relevant and cut costs. So we, becoming an API-first company in 19, moving to the hybrid cloud, all of that helped with us develop solutions that we're going to be really agnostic to how we deliver value to clients. I was pretty surprised how quickly we all adopted to working virtually, and we were very good in terms of helping clients out that, suddenly traders were all working from home, basically, and we had to stand up.
Which is something that never, Guy and I grew up as traders. The idea, if you were out of the office at any point in the 90s or the 2000s or you did not touch risk, right? You might have been able to be on the phone with somebody, a PM or an analyst or something like that. And so that's also been a big theme of the conference, is this connectivity between front and middle office solutions. So talk to us a little bit about that. A lot of our listeners are institutional investors. They're very familiar with your products and services. They might rely on it maybe for estimates or research and a whole host of different things. You guys see the stuff that we do in our punditry with our podcast. We use a lot of the analytics. They're the things that help us make decisions on a daily basis, but we also like to bring them to life and let our viewers or our listeners kind of see how we're using them. So talk to us a little bit about that, because again, it seems like from here on out, there's going to be hybrid work solutions, especially in a business that we never thought would exist.
Right. Yeah, so connecting the front, middle, and back office has been a big priority for us, and that goes to not just clients wanting to be more efficient, but I think making better decisions across their entire organization. So FactSet was always really good in fundamental and quant research. We were always very good at portfolio attribution, risk, and reporting. But the piece that's I think I'm most excited about at this conference is the tools that we're building out now for the portfolio manager and the trader. So connecting the research teams through to the middle office is really helpful for our clients. There is consolidation going on in our industry, with who we compete with. And we believe that we're just very well positioned in terms of how agile we are, how quickly we're moving, how we're one ecosystem to help clients solve that. And we don't think that all clients want the same end-to-end solution where they can't customize or configure things. Otherwise, how can they differentiate themselves from their competition? So, yeah.
It's interesting. Everybody wants to drive a Ferrari, and FactSet is that Ferrari. But you need to know how to drive it in order to really get the best use case out of it. So speak to that. Like, how do people learn how to use the product, the platform properly?
Yeah. Well, you could call me or like anyone that was a FactSet consultant, and we'll walk you through all the different things. There's a lot more in there now than there used to be.
Exactly.
But we have 2,000 client-facing staff. So we will visit you, we will talk to you, we will train you. We will be an extension of your workforce. We take that seriously, and we get so many great ideas from clients by doing that. So that's a good part of the business model. But I think where you're going now is, okay, with technology and everything that people have to do, what can we do to make people's lives easier? So generative AI, I think, is really, I'm excited because it means we don't have to invest as much as we might have had to get to a place where you can literally just ask in natural language what it is you want from FactSet. So maybe you want a chart immediately. Just write out what chart you want. We'll render it for you. We're already working on that. Maybe you want to write some Python code to, create some factors that you want to put into your quantitative process. We're already doing that. I think the thing that has so much buzz here at the conference is something that we call portfolio commentary. So everyone's trying to understand what's driving their over or underperformance in a way that helps them make decisions or communicate to their clients. So that, it's the most exciting thing I've seen at our firm for a long time.
We've spent some time talking to some of the folks that were involved in launching that product, and it really seems like efficiency is one of the key themes there. And again, as Guy and I have used your products for many years, like anytime you can gain efficiency, especially, we're not uploading portfolios, but we use it for really mission critical stuff as we think about our coverage of the markets and the like. So, and we'll get into more of that, but I'm curious, you just mentioned generative AI, and it's something that we spend an awful lot of time thinking about as it relates to, first, some of the biggest beneficiaries in the stock market, and we're trying to drill down on the products and services and the sort of things that might be a flash in the pan, and some of the things that are going to really change industries. What was the sort of aha moment for you and your team that this was not going to be a flash in the pan, that you were probably asked about, how are you guys thinking about blockchain? This is like 3 or 4 years ago. Clearly a flash in the pan. That's not the case here.
Right. So, a lot of it's talking to clients. And then I spend quite a bit of time in California. I spend a lot of my career out there, but have a lot of connections in Silicon Valley. So talking to firms out there that are working on it. And I visited there last June and had a whole series of meetings and just came away with the conviction that this is real. It's not a flash in the pan. Yeah, we didn't take Bitcoin that seriously for our business or the blockchain even, and just really, not knowing exactly where we needed to go, but knowing directionally, okay, we got to get the whole firm behind this, get everyone at FactSet educated about it so we can get the best ideas and begin to free up some incremental dollars to invest.
So we talked a little bit about efficiency in some of the products that you guys are launching right now, but it's data is a theme again and again and again. And so when you think about some of the knocks on some of these large language models right now and the way they've kind of pushed out, hallucinations, accuracy, these are things that a lot of folks, that if your initial experience is one of, well, I can't really trust this. I'm not sure it's going to save me a lot of time. I'm going to wait until, you know what I mean? There's, that's not the case for you guys.
Right.
When you think about your customer base, you think about the data that they have, the security that you guys place around that. Speak to that a little bit, because I think this is probably one of the best use cases as we think about different industries and how it's going to be, the investment is going to turn on to something that customers are immediately going to start to pay for. It seems like right here for you guys, this is a moment.
It absolutely is, and yeah, just seeing the response for portfolio commentary is a great example. I think, I was never that good at English. I won't tell you how many times it took me to go through freshman English to graduate college. I was a chemistry major, but it would have taken me hours literally to write like a good portfolio commentary, and this machine can do it in a minute or two, and even for a skilled professional, it's going to take 30 minutes to an hour. So you've got immediately, a 90% efficiency gain there where you can just pump this out. So we're working on, it may seem obvious to do this, but it's practical and it helps clients. And then maybe there'll be some other tools in the future that tell you exactly what stock to buy. But there's so much obvious wood to chop.
One last thing on this one, and again, through our use of the products, when it's earnings season like it is right now, it could be a night like tonight. There's 10 companies so if you're a PM, there could be 10 companies in your portfolio that are reporting. And I know how these folks are. Guy knows how these folks are. You want to know everything right now, and you know what I mean. And we don't always have the personnel to do that. So products like transcript AI and stuff like that, where you can actually, create some prompts that are going to help you think about some through lines on companies that could be in different industries, they could be in the same industry, and help you arrive at some conclusions about your exposures and the like. Talk to us like the reception of those sorts of things, because I've been in the innovation labs here. I've seen some of the demonstrations. I think there's a lot of people like, wow, I didn't know this could exist this quickly.
Yeah, the usage that we saw just on people being able to look at one transcript at a time was huge. I was at an IR meeting in the last month or so, and a PM who's been in the industry forever said, listen, I'll pay you a lot of money if you can essentially comb all the transcripts that have anything to do with the ecosystem of the companies that are on my watch list. Then I can have dinner with my family, basically, right? So just the amount of time it takes for a fundamental analyst to sift through that is huge. So that'll be another, I think, big time saver for us.
In many of these sports, if you don't move your feet, you're going to get smoked.
Yes,
I mean, it's just once you're stationary, the world takes over. And it's the same in business. If you're stationary, if you're not moving, competition moves very quickly. And more so now than just the speed with which things happen. So speak to how you stay ahead of the competition. Obviously, innovation is a big part of that, but staying true to your knitting is a big part. So there's a bit of a dance that has to go on.
There is a bit of a dance. So yeah, it all comes down, I think, to Guy, to sort of sitting down with the clients and understanding what it is they have on that desktop. There is consolidation in our industry. Most of the large firms want to shrink the long tail of data and technology companies they rely on as they become more efficient. So it's just understanding what these new niche providers are doing for them that FactSet could essentially do for them in one place. No one wants to go to 10 things on their desktop to get the job done.
As a CEO, you have to have long-term plans. So it's very difficult in today's world. I totally get it. But do you think 5 years from now, this is where we are? Or is it impossible to sort of forecast? And I'm not saying in sort of in a public way. I'm not looking for a forecast. But in your mind, like the vision that you see for the company.
Yeah, I do think that the programs we have in place now, whether it's generative AI, moving more into private markets, building out the wealth space, and I know that's important for you, a lot of your listeners in the wealth space, The deep sector, I don't know if you got a peek at that over the conference, but it's a product that we built out really for the sell side, but it's beginning to have a lot of applications on the buy side as well. All of those are multi-year initiatives that I have a lot of confidence that will help continue to drive FactSet's growth in the future. We've been a very consistent performer. You know how to use screening. If you look in the S&P 500 and look at what companies have delivered earnings, dividend, and sales growth each of the last 20 years, there's probably just one company on the S&P 500.
So that, yeah, and I know what that company is. So here's my pushback to you. I know that. You obviously know that.
Yeah.
But do you think the investor base or the investor class out there knows it?
I'm not sure they do. So I think one of the things that I'm excited about this event is I think we've taken marketing and brand to another level. We've always been sort of a word of mouth type shop. But I think with your help, we have a great marketing team. There's a lot of capabilities that FactSet have that the market's not aware of, and that's on us essentially. So I think that'll be a big piece of what we want to do over the next 2 years.
And again, Guy and I talk about this a lot on our pods. I mean, there's a difference between the company and the stock, right? And we're not going to get into the stock right now, but when I think about this company and I think about, again, I'm going to go back to your vision for generative AI, it wasn't more than a year ago that you were really starting to think about this, but your ability to build on some of those other investments focused on, hybrid cloud and some of these other solutions, it's helped you kind of move very fast.
It has, if we hadn't done that foundation, we'd be in trouble. And I think that's where companies that have not invested in their data layer and their technology, if you can't get that right, you're going to have the hallucinations and you're not going to be able to build good product.
And it's also interesting for us is, again, we come from a buy-side background, but we also worked at sort of sell-side shops, and you think about the different solutions that are important to them, and you just mentioned something really interesting. You develop something for the sell side, you find buy-side applications for that too, and then you also just mentioned wealth. And so when I think about wealth advisors, this is a sector that Guy knows really well. These are a group of folks that really hustle. Like they don't have the sort of infrastructure always that an institutional desk might have. And so we have a lot of listeners, a lot of viewers, both on our podcast, but also on CNBC's Fast Money, that rely on those sorts of commentaries because they're just trying to get an edge, you know what I mean? And so talk to us a little bit about this sector, because I was sitting in a session yesterday and it sounds like that the portfolios that are uploaded from the portfolio or from wealth sector, there are multiples of what you have on the institutional side. So what have you learned from there, and how important is this growth area?
It's very important. I see that as a new beachhead for us. We've been at it for 10 years or so. You met Goran Skoko, I think, at this conference. So he leads that for us. But we hit sort of the ultra high net worth part of the market at the beginning. We've been able to do more here because of the technology investment we made. So it was not profitable for us to service tens of thousands of wealth advisors at the price point that market affords, or to upload that many portfolios. But technology's allowed us to do that. So I see a lot of runway in wealth, and there's a lot of parts of the workflow for the wealth advisor that we do for the institutional advisors that I'm excited about building out. And I do think that part of the market's becoming way more sophisticated. I think the end users of wealth are going to want a better digital solution. They're not wanting a PowerPoint every quarter mailed to them. They're going to want to be able to interact with a tool that's a bit more self-service. And the wealth advisors themselves, in terms of adding value, need to look like geniuses in front of their clients to add value. And FactSet allows them to do that.
In a world that's extraordinarily finicky, very transitory, very nomadic in terms of moving from, one platform to another. I don't have the data in front of me, you do. My sense is your client base is extraordinarily sticky.
Yes.
So once somebody's a FactSet, they are a FactSet client.
Yep.
Why?
Well, we have great product. There's the product and the service, and we become, we do mission critical workflows for clients. So it's sort of a land and expand strategy, but a lot of our growth, or in the future, is going to come from continuing to sell to the largest clients that we have.
And then to that point, that once somebody understands the relationship, it's a deep relationship. But that's, listen, that's a tribute to obviously you, the employees, but the platform and everything that you've built, because that's not the norm. I think you know that. You've seen it before with competitors and stuff. I mean, people go from place to place. There's no allegiance. There's no loyalty.
Yep.
You've created that not only obviously with the firm, but with your client base.
Yeah, it's the trust. The clients, I think, trust us as much as they trust any firm in this space. And that trust is earned over a long period, and we don't want anything, we want to do anything to violate that, essentially, right? So treating people with respect, being reasonable in terms of your contracts, having a long-term view, that's how we run the company.
All right, I want to go back to generative AI for a second here, because one of the things is Guy and Guy is like my partner Luddite over here. So a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about here is like, it's like, you know what I mean? We have to put reports in front of his face, and that's how he kind of gets the benefit.
I'm not sure I totally believe that.
Okay, but he'll have you believe that. But one of the things is like when you walk around here, and Guy and I have spent a lot of time talking to people in front office and middle office, and you know, there's a lot of excitement about these products, because largely these companies maybe don't have the expertise to kind of do the sort of legwork that it takes to invest in these sorts of technologies, apply them to the existing systems that they have. So it seems like you are doing a lot of heavy lifting for these customers. Talk to us about that, because it really seems like, and Guy asked you about how you forecast things going forward in the product roadmap, and generative AI is at the forefront of all of this. So talk to us about, the customer excitement about it, and then you guys as a team seem really excited about it also.
Yeah, so we talked about a few practical solutions that we're already putting out there, but we've got a longer list than that, and we've got some upcoming releases. But you're right, so putting in the work on data management, building the APIs, having some services out there, that's going to help clients that essentially want to differentiate and maybe combine some of the things we're doing with some of the things they want to do, or some data potentially that they don't want to let out of their ecosystem. So all of the work that we've done is certainly going to be helpful.
So listening to like Christina yesterday and Chris, it seems like that you guys have charted your course, and you've made the investments, and you're building the products, and you're getting the customer feedback, and it seems like that's the FactSet way. When you think about, again, it's kind of uncharted territory, though, after a couple of years. How do you think about that as a CEO, not knowing where this is going, but you have a good sense for it because you've built products over multiple decades with what the clients have wanted, and then you've been able to pivot when you kind of felt like some things have become obsolete?
Yeah, well, I mean, we iterate very quickly, and we continuously release enhancements into the product. Every year, we have a very robust investment process that looks at our existing investments, measures the ROI, like, do we want to shift a significant amount of investment in one direction or another? But I think it's that agility and just being essentially one ecosystem that allows us to do that.
Can you put some context around this? Because again, you know, Guy's been doing Fast Money for 17 years. We've had hundreds of CEOs that have come, you know, on our shows talking about these big technologies that are going to reshape their industry or their sector and the like. Give us some context of, like, you know, some of the other big technological shifts over the last, let's call it 30 years. You've been CEO for almost 10 years or so. How does this rate generative AI in the scale of some of these?
I mean, it's up there. I mean, I think when we went from modems, you know, to wide area networks to the cloud, that was a big shift. But this is important. I think this is a 1 in 10 or 20 year advancement in technology. You know, it's not going to solve everyone's problems, but it is an inflection point, and I think if you can harness it, you'll be successful. I think you made the point earlier, Guy. There's going to be a few companies that get out front in their particular industries and win, and I sort of realized if we weren't one of the 1 or 2 in our industry, we were going to be in trouble 5 or 10 years from now. So I'm quite happy with where we are at this point.
Getting to know you, you're not one to be overly exuberant or overly down, but my instincts suggest this is probably as about excited you've been for the company since you started. So let's finish up with that.
Absolutely. I mean, we've released like this product that we just announced at this conference. When I saw a demo of it a few weeks ago, it was about as excited as I've seen in terms of our product coming out. And that just speaks to our culture. I think being able to go to a client, I did this as a salesperson, and see their mouths drop open or hear them say, wow, there's a lot of satisfaction in that. And I think it's not just generative AI. We have a lot of other solutions that are having that type of a reaction from clients.
We appreciate our relationship with you. We cherish it, and we thank you for having us down here. And we're obviously excited to see what's next. And Phil, thank you so much for your time. We've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Anytime. Thank you. Thanks, Guy.
Thanks, Phil.
Yeah.